It was an interview with a guy who said that he killed JFK. And I believe this guy. That's the crazy
Okay.
part about it.
Okay.
His name's James Earl Files. He also goes by James Sutton. So this guy, I think he's out of prison right now, but he was in prison for attempted murder on a police officer. He was associated with the Chicago outfit, meaning like the Chicago mob back in the day. And he was like a known associate of them. And he has a story about, his entire life story is like he grew up in Chicago. He got, kind of like loosely affiliated. He joined the military, went over to Laos in the Vietnam era. And in Laos, that's where we were not supposed to be having like special forces or anything. But we had people over there that were doing like, I think they called it sterile work, where they weren't wearing dog tags, didn't have like American patches on their uniforms. They were over there from the United States military, but they couldn't identify themselves as being like official U.S. military people because one, I think it would have been a war crime, and two, if they were captured, then they didn't want them to be held hostage or anything. Just like if you get captured, you're going to get executed. Deal with it. So this guy was over there for a long time. Came back, started doing some jobs for the mafia. I don't think he ever explicitly said he was a hitman, but he was a hitman. That's what he did. And then he got an assignment to go down to Dallas. And so he goes down there with a couple of his partners who are like legitimate, known mafia guys from Chicago, like very high up people in the Chicago mafia. So he goes down there, meets up with Lee Harvey Oswald. And Lee Harvey Oswald, his job is to like show the guys around, drive them around Dealey Plaza, because they got some information about where the parade was going to be and like what corners he was going to be going around. They knew what the parade route was going to be. And so Lee Harvey Oswald, his job was to like drive them around, show them all the streets, get them familiar with the area so that when it was time for them to get the fuck out, they knew how to get the fuck out. So it was this guy, James Files, and some of his bosses in the mob that were down there. One of his bosses said that he was going to be the primary assassin and was going to go up in this building. And then James Files' assignment was to be down like in the area of the grassy knoll behind a construction fence that was set up. And he had this pistol. It was called a fireball. And it was like a pistol that had a scope on it. So it was accurate up to like a couple hundred yards as opposed to just like 50, 60 feet or whatever. So he's about to get stationed behind this thing, and his boss tells him like, I'm going to take the shots. If I don't kill him, then it's your job to kill him. And we're trying to do a headshot here so that we know that he's dead. And his boss shoots a couple times. JFK moves around, gets shot. He like grabs at his neck, and then Files points his gun, shoots using like a fragmented round. So they weren't going to be able to find, it wasn't going to ricochet. They weren't going to find like the bullet anywhere. Fires a fragmented round at the front of his head, hits him in the left temple, which is why his head moved backwards. And then he was able to put his gun into a briefcase and get the fuck out of there. And then he said that Lee Harvey Oswald's job was to go put a rifle in the school book depository. And then they found the rifle. They saw Lee Harvey Oswald exiting. They captured him. Then he got shot by Ruby, who was also involved in the entire conversation. But I think I believe the guy.
No, you don't.
I think I do. If you listen to him, so he's given 2 interviews on camera, and they're both like an hour long. And each time the details in the story are exactly the same. And it makes sense. So his explanation for why the mob killed JFK with the help of the CIA was because Kennedy pulled the plug on the Bay of Pigs at the last second. So this guy, Files, he had allegedly trained a bunch of Cuban exiles. And Files, I think he's part Cuban too. He had trained a bunch of Cuban exiles to storm the Bay of Pigs and to try to overthrow the Castro government. They trained for months in, I think it was Alabama. And right at the time of the invasion, JFK decides at the last second, no, I'm not going to offer United States military support to it. We're not going to assist in the invasion, because he was afraid that the U.S. invaded Cuba, then Russia was going to start a war with us or respond in kind and maybe launch some nukes, maybe do something else. But he's afraid of what the Russian response would be. So JFK pulled the plug on it. All the guys that this guy trained they were left high and dry, and they were all just slaughtered on the beach. And they were taken prisoner, they were tortured. That stuff's all true. So this guy and the mafia, they were pissed off at JFK for doing that. And the CIA was pissed off at JFK for doing that too, because they had helped train these guys and set up the operation, and then he just bailed out. So they were all pissed at him, and they thought, this guy's got to go. And so they had the mafia, in conjunction with this guy, James Files, go down there and kill him. And he also implicated George H.W. Bush a little bit.
You said Jack Ruby was part of the whole thing with Lee Harvey Oswald?
Jack Ruby was involved in the plan. He wasn't like part of the assassination.
Correct, but that you're saying that Oswald knew that he was going to get killed by Jack Ruby?
No, Oswald did not know that. No,
you said he was part of the conversations.
I'm not saying the entire, obviously Oswald didn't plan on getting arrested and then getting shot as he was being transported. But he got arrested. He didn't get away. And then Ruby was like, that's a loose end. I got to tie it up. And then shot him. And then if you look deeper into it, Jack Ruby, when he went to prison, he went insane. He went insane over the course of his prison tenure. And he started to go insane after he was paid a visit by an MK Ultra associated doctor.
So this Files guy, what is his motivation to reveal all of this?
He just feels like it's time to talk about it. All the other people that are associated with this are dead. So he's not implicating anybody else, just himself. Like all the mob bosses, I think all of them were taken out in mob hits in like the 70s. 70s or 80s.
You really believe this?
I think I do. And when he talked about it, he wasn't selling a book. He wasn't trying to make money off of it. He said, nobody's going to prosecute me for this because they've already closed the book on it. So I might as well just talk about it.
He has written a book.
He was...
Or is this a movie?
It was a movie, but that came out, I think, in 2013. The interview came out, I think, in
the 90s.
1992, and then there was another one in like 2002.
Okay, I mean, yeah, more power to you, I guess.
And I think he's been released from... Yeah, he got paroled, it says, in May 2016. If he's in Chicago, if he's in the area, I'd love to have him on the show. Because I tried to figure out how to get in contact with him earlier. He doesn't have a big footprint online at all.
Wonder why.
I'm seeing that he lives in Round Lake Beach, Illinois, which is not too far.
Okay, can we try to reach out to him?
Yeah.
James Files, James Sutton, whatever name you're going by. You seem like a straight shooter. Well, that's a bad choice of words.
Oh,
you seem like you're telling the truth. I would like to give you a platform to have a longer. I swear to God, I didn't mean to do that. But I guess it's true if the shoe fits.
Wait.
Man.
So James Sutton?
Yeah, or James Files. He goes by both names. Clip this part, and then we'll put it out there. And if anybody knows the guy or how to get in touch with him, let us know.
By the way, that was where
and the straight shooter part. You got.
Yeah, keep that. He can come to the office, do the gauntlet. What's for lunch with Mincy?
Sure, Chaps would love to do one of his shooting videos with him.
Yeah.
By the way, Round Lake Beach, Illinois is where he tried to kill the cops. I don't know if he still lives there.
Okay. So, yeah, I also listened to that because I saw what the allegations were and why he was in prison for attempted murder for a long time. He claims that he and one of his associates were, I think, leaving a gas station, and then an unmarked car pulled up next to him, rammed into him. Somebody got out and fired shots into his car, and then the driver grabbed a pistol, fired back, hit one of the guys in the chest, and it turns out that they were undercover, unmarked cops that he didn't know. But who knows? I mean, they didn't have like body cameras or anything on because it was, when was that, the 90s, the 80s?
91.
91? Yeah. So I did some more research into this guy this morning, and there are a couple people that say that there's one or two inconsistencies with the story. But overall, I think a lot of people believe this guy. He might be the guy.
Okay.
Would you?
I get the explanation is a lot more succinct than I think I've heard from any other kind of like real allegation.
Just listen to his interviews.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. You've convinced me enough to keep an open mind about it.
I have an open mind. I'm not saying that he definitely did it. I think he seems credible to me.
Seems credible.
Yeah.
I want to look at the FBI files because I just did a little search on them, and they said that the FBI did investigate his claims and him in general, and they didn't find it to be credible. So I would like to see their explanation for it.
I also think the FBI has reason to not point the finger at him.
What's that?
The federal government. Because I think the federal government they've closed the book on this. They did an investigation. There's a lot of very powerful people that were involved in that investigation, from CIA directors, FBI directors, and I'm sure some of their people are still involved in the federal government and have been for quite some time, where you don't want to say, hey, yeah, they fucked this up, and they fucked it up on purpose because they knew.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in to hear it out.
Especially if the guy's already in prison and the FBI like investigates it, and they can just be like, no, I mean, he's still in prison.
Makes sense.
Is it problematic to platform an assassin?
No, fuck no.
And it's a pretty big part of American history.
I don't think it's problematic to platform anybody. I stand firm on that.
Freedom of speech?
Well, it's just like I want to hear people and their thoughts and their ideas. What the fuck? Does it mean it's like what is it? A retweet doesn't mean an endorsement?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same vibe.
All right. Yeah, we'll get our best people on this. And if you know James Files, James Sutton, Chicago guy, I think part Cuban, former mafia associate, sharpshooter, let us know.